Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Into the Badlands, Palm of the Iron Fox. And this was a really good episode and really kind of started moving us in some interesting directions. A main thing that we were seeing in the beginning of the episode was kind of Quinn and his ideas of what's going on. He's kind of attached this kind of like religious significance to what's going on, like themes of fire and all that, and getting his troops rallied for the assault that they're going to do on the barons of the Conclave. And it was really kind of interesting to see how he was doing that, and also how he was kind of treating Vale and Henry, because he's viewing this that they are going to be the fire that cleanses the Badlands, and that yes, he has been burned, he has been tempted by all this power and everything, but now he has seen what's going on, the errors of his ways, and wants to rebuild the Badlands by burning it all down and using his loyal forces for that. And it was interesting to kind of see Vale kind of like do her machinations to try and get out of the captivity that she's got under Quinn, and seeing her try and get the key to the like room so that way they could have sunlight so she could like do some kind of planning or whatnot, because we don't know at that point. But he's like, of course, I'm going to leave Edgar here to like take care of you and everything. It's like, okay. So they kind of go off and get ready for what they're going to do. And we also get to see what's going on with like Tilda and the rest that are left at the widow's residence. And of course, one of the dolls that were rescued during their raid of the oil fields has now become one of the butterflies. And she was like talking about like the wisdom of the widow to take Waldo instead of Tilda. I mean, talking about like how men have ruined the Badlands and all that kind of stuff, and that it would be better if Tilda had went with her, and to also remind her and kind of like go against her like decisions if the widow's not acting wise. It's like, well, see, it really wasn't about like a men's superiority thing. Waldo has been a regent and knows how these things work. He's in the best kind of situation to help her navigate the different politics that are going on within the different barons, their lands and all that, and he knows a kind of game of subtlety that is needed in these scenarios, where the widow, who has her own ways with subtlety, is more on a kind of war course. And it's kind of cool to have them balance themselves out, and also see Tilda kind of like wrestling with this in being regent, because she's got to be, on one hand, be able to follow her mother's orders, but on the other hand, recognize when to step up and tell her mother when she needs to go another way, which of course is what Waldo's doing and what Tilda's learning to do. So the main meat of the episode is taken up with the widow and Waldo kind of like navigating what's going on at this conclave. And it's kind of cool to see them go through and talk about the different barons, who would be on her side, who wouldn't be on her side, seeing her talk with Baron Chow, and kind of like get a feel for what's going on. And people don't really like the widow because she killed her husband and took the Baron title. Now, granted, her husband was evil towards her and probably deserved what was coming to him, but yet the other people don't view it as right that she didn't work for it, which is kind of weird, because usually that's how barons kind of get their power, by killing the baron before them. So that then dovetails into the widow talking to Chow about kind of her worries. She doesn't like that she's losing cogs, and that she wants the system the way it is. If she can give up pretty much providing sanctuary to the cogs, she'll have her vote, and the majority will go along with that. And then, of course, they get to the ceremony, and the widow makes her case, even compromising, because Waldo had pretty much told her that, listen, this is about survival more than anything. We can't win a war on our own with this kind of, if they're all arrayed against us. And of course, She even concedes to not letting the Cogs with Sanctuary at her place anymore, and kind of giving that up. But of course, Ryder does his spiel, pretty much throws her under the bus, even though he's the one that went after Quinn and all that, and everybody kind of votes against the Widow. And that doesn't fly with the Widow at all. So, then of course, her and Waldo are getting ready to fight, and then out of nowhere, well, not really out of nowhere to them, Quinn's forces come in, because Gabriel had snuck in and was able to act like a servant and let everybody in an underground route. And, of course, everybody's kind of like, what the hell's going on? Because, of course, the Widow was going to fight to the death, and people are like, who are these forces? And all this whole fighting ensues. Now, it was easy to follow, but I'm pretty sure none of the Barons were taken out. Some regents were taken out, but Ryder ran out because Quinn came up, and everybody's like, dude, I thought you killed that dude, and it's just crazy. So, everybody starts fighting each other. We get a really cool fight scene with the Widow and Baron Chow. It's really cool how they do some of these fight scenes, and especially the using of, like, the heels and all that as, like, combat implements. They're deadly as crap, and I can't wait for the Widow to, like, really unleash it, because, granted, she's fighting for something good, and I'm for her on that, but you could still see the kind of trappings of power starting to kind of, like, call to her, and it's, like, just seeing her, like, I hope that she's able to resist that, otherwise she's just going to become another kind of Quinn and another Baron. I would like her to kind of, like, do her own thing in the Badlands and kind of shake up a status quo. Because then that could be a pretty good benefit to Sunny, because then, if she's like, you know what, you can live the life as you want, he could then be like, you know what, I can help and protect people this way. That could be an interesting dynamic that we could eventually see. So while she's fighting Baron Chow, we also see Waldo kicking ass, and I love it. Even though he's in a wheelchair, he's got chains that he's using, he's got knives everywhere, and he is not helpless. And seeing him just be like taking people out and even getting in one position where he really can't get out, where then Tilda shows up, giving her mother her weapons, and then all the rest of the Barons are going out, and the Widow's like, alright, we're in a pretty good scenario here. So, we then kind of see towards the end of the episode, Ryder has run off, and Quinn goes after him, and they're like talking about mythology and all that, and Quinn's doing all this stuff with Cronus, which is kind of cool. Love when, like, Greek mythology and all that. And Ryder calls him on, like, no, that statue's not Cronus. It's Lachaon. And it's like, yeah. So, Ryder tries to fight him, but can't really do much. His father was always the superior fighter. He fought to his position like that, where Ryder had more kind of used his intellect to try and get the Baron in a place to take him out. So even Quinn, at one point, is like, you know what? He offers Ryder the same thing he had offered Gabriel. Just take me out. And then, of course, Ryder doesn't want to, throws like some stones in his face, pretty much gets it to a point where he's got a blade to Quinn, and he's like, do it, do it, do it. He's like, why do you hesitate? And then Quinn kills him. And before he's dying, he's like, I hesitated because you're my father. And Quinn's like, you're my son. And seeing these two characters with this love-hate relationship in their final moments are like, their love for each other kind of like shows through. And seeing how Ryder's like, Ryder and Quinn are both kind of sad at what's come of it, but Quinn is still his crazy bloodlusty self. He's got Henry and all that. And I mean, yeah, he's sad a little bit, I think, that Ryder's dead. But he's like, he was weak, and he's gonna just move on taking over the Badlands. It's cool to see that kind of humanizing part of him, even though he is a crazy, sociopathic son of a bitch. So it'll be interesting to see how it affects him, but I don't think it'll affect him that much since he sees Henry as his surrogate son, and the one that will precede him, if he's able to live long enough with the tumor in his brain. So, well, that has kind of where we end the episode, with Jade running up and kind of lamenting the fact of Ryder. We had also seen that Vale was able to concoct her own escape plan and drug Edgar and was pretty much trying to get Henry out of there. And lo and behold, she's locked in and is trying to like bang on the chains to get out. And then we get Now, where we had the Widow and Baron True being like my fight scene of the week and everything, this was another important fight scene for character development because Vale fought off Edgar because he was able to get out of his stupor. And he's like, you know Quinn would kill me if you left. You knew it. And she's like saying sorry and all that, but then she's like, it's the mother to protect the son, the child. You can't fault her for that. So she just starts going in, and it's just like a fight for survival, smacking him in the head with rocks and taking the pipe and finally taking him out. It was really cool. Similar with Lydia. Just seeing how people need to survive in the Badlands and how, yes, she's a doctor and healing, but she's not beneath fighting to protect her child and herself. And, of course, during the fighting, a key was broken off in the lock, so Vale's kind of stuck at the moment. We don't know if she'll be able to figure out how to get out before Quinn's forces return. So that's kind of where she's left off, and we did also get some MK this week. And MK's still going along that kind of like Luke Skywalker kind of path, and he's like, I need more answers about my mother. So he sneaks into the master study, gets one of her origami drug things, and I still don't know exactly how it works out, but like it's able to induce him into the trance in the room of mirrors. So he does that, and we find out that MK did kill his mother. And that it was because of the dark part of him controlling his gift. And that sets into motion MK fighting the dark part. Now, it isn't really... That's kind of where it ended there. Because the dark half kicked him and he was knocked down, but he wasn't like taken out completely in the dream, but we see him being like hurt in the real world. So we'll have to see how the Master deals with this issue, will like bring him out, or if MK will be able to come to terms with the dark part of himself and how that's going to usually go out. Because usually in these scenarios, you have to come to a balance between your light part and your dark part and kind of find some symbiosis. We don't know if that's how this is going to work out because we don't know exactly how this gift works and how control is wrestled, and to see if MK will be able to handle that kind of power. We didn't get any kind of input with like Sunny and Bajie, but it probably will be with next week that we'll see them getting closer to the Badlands, since they're going to have to get there, since everything's kind of like turning up heat-wise with like Vale, Henry, and the rest of the Barons. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.